Hi, everyone, and welcome to another guest expert call. My name is Shane Borza, along with my host, Benjamin Goss. We'd like to welcome you to the Solve Network. If this is your first time here, we do these calls on the first and third Thursday, usually, of every month. This is a extra call because it's a Tuesday night. We're always looking for not only new experts to come on and present in any area of expertise, regardless of the industry or background, but also to have people join us live on the call so you get a chance to meet an expert you might not otherwise have known, but also have the opportunity to speak to them one-to-one and get your questions answered in real time. If you would like more information on our show or what we do, you can go to thesolvenetwork.com. And if you're interested in joining us or coming on as a presenter, you can contact us there and we will talk to you about getting on the schedule. So tonight we have Jacqueline Grant, who I met at a summit. I'm really excited that we connected, and she's the founder and director of the Management Academy and the Building Your Consulting Business Now Summit. She's going to be talking predominantly today about using LinkedIn, but we're also, I believe, going to talk a bit about your summit. And I'm really excited to have you tell us more about both of those things. So I'm going to hand it off to you. And for those of you who are on your first call, after the presentation, we will have an opportunity to talk to our guest one-to-one. So please have some questions and thoughts for her once she's finished. And without further ado, thank you so much for being here, Jacqueline.
Thank you so very much. I am so looking forward, Shane, to talking with you and your audience. And I'm really looking to engage with you. So please, if you come up with a question, please put it into the chat or please hold it for our Q&A at the end, because I want to make sure that this is valuable for you so that you make sure that you get all your questions answered so that you can not only know how to use LinkedIn more than just a glorified resume. It's much more than that. We're going to show you how to get new clients or new connections, or just to be in front of the people who you are trying to connect with out there in the world. This is the best time now because of COVID. It's the best time because you can now use this medium that everyone is using, and you don't have to worry about being sleazy, being stalkerish. We're going to show you not only what to do, but how to do it, and how to do it in such a way where you know what to say, how to say it, when to say it, and be able to get from where you are to where you want to go in your career or your business. So thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to hearing your questions as it relates to how professionals create connections that turn into customers while you generate a weekly inbound pipeline of pre-qualified LinkedIn clients in just 10 minutes a day. And you can do this even if you are still working a full-time job. Let me just check with you. Are you seeing my screen? Yes,
Yes, I got
great.
it. Thank you for checking.
Thank you so very much. So if you are still working a full-time job, you're in the right place. If you are already an entrepreneur and working your business full or part-time, you're in the right place. If you could please put in the chat for me, how many of you are working full-time or part-time and still looking to move into entrepreneurship? If you could put into the chat for me, working. And if you are an entrepreneur and working in your business full-time, please put ENT, entrepreneur. And I'm going to ask you, Shane, please check the chat for me, because I can't see the chat in this view that I'm in. I can't see the chat, but if you can really just check that for me from time to time, I would really appreciate that. So let's get started. So when you look at LinkedIn, what do you think? Oh, it's just a place where I put my resume. Oh, it's just a place where people come to see where I've worked over the years, what kind of experience I might have. It's a track record of where I went to school, but it's so much more, so much more. Our agenda for today is about who will this really benefit? Why should you listen to me? What's the promise? What's the promise that I have for you? And where's the proof? Because, you got to have that proof, right? And I'm going to share with you the 3 foundational principles of my proprietary linked leadership program. I'm also going to give you a demonstration, real life demonstration on my LinkedIn profile. And if we have a volunteer from the audience, I will also do a demonstration on your LinkedIn profile. And if you would like to implement some of the strategies that I'm showing you and so much more, because this is really, for the time that we have today, just the very tip of the iceberg. There's so much I have to share with you, so many tips and strategies and techniques that I've developed over the years. Not enough time tonight to go over that. So I want to make sure that if you want to learn more, there's a way for you to do that as well. So let's talk about who this will benefit. If you're a coach, if you're a speaker, an author, or an expert, a new entrepreneur in business less than 5 years, if you are any of these, or even a corporate worker who is still working full or part time, and you all want more freedom and peace of consistent, that's the key word, consistent money coming in from a weekly flow of pre qualified LinkedIn clients who want and need your expertise, you're in the right place. And I just want to clarify a bit. If you are working full time, you are an expert. Do you know how many people apply for any one position that is open? Usually hundreds. And in these days that we're in right now, probably a few hundred that are applying for any one position that's open. And if you've had the wonderful opportunity of earning a position and beating out all the competition, all the other people who applied for that position, you are an expert. You are the one that the company chose because they knew that you could do the job and do it well. So see yourself as an expert. That's not being boastful. That's not being egotistical. It's being factual. You got the position above everyone else. And if you've had a few positions through your years, you know that you are an expert at what you do. If you've had anywhere from 10 or more years of experience, you are an expert. So I just want you to maybe make that mind shift just a bit to see yourself as an expert. Shane, can you tell me if anyone has responded as far as how many entrepreneurs we have in the audience, how many workers?
We have a couple people who have put up the ENT, so it seems like we have a couple entrepreneurs in the house.
Awesome, awesome. And I believe that there's always an entrepreneur way deep down inside or way back here in the back of your mind that you've always probably had an idea of something you've wanted to do someday, somehow, somewhere, and you've never really taken action on it. This is for you. This is the right place for you. Now, why listen to me? 90% of my business comes through LinkedIn. That means that they either find me on LinkedIn or they are referred to me somehow. And before they ever give me a call, before they ever go to my website, where do they go? They go straight to LinkedIn to see who I am, what I do, who I'm connected to, what I've done, and what I'm doing. And that's because I keep my LinkedIn relatively up to date. I do a couple of different things. So based on whatever I am focusing on at the moment is what I will highlight in my profile, because I use LinkedIn as a business owner. So it's going to be different than how someone who is looking for their next career move is going to use LinkedIn. But I'll touch on both ways to use it as well. But these are just some of the companies that I've worked with and worked for as far as helping them to improve processes and procedures. And so they have all checked me out on LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn is, again, more than just that glorified resume, because my LinkedIn profile really doesn't go through all the positions I've had as a working person, but it showcases, in essence, who I am as a business owner. And if you've ever seen a billboard as you've been driving down the street with thousands of cars passing past a particular billboard at a great intersection, you can think of LinkedIn as your billboard to the world. And anyone and everyone who passes through LinkedIn can see your billboard. So you have the opportunity to put on there anything you want to showcase. And I'll show you more in just a few minutes. So, what's the promise? What's the promise? The promise is to experience what I experienced. You can wake up on a Monday morning at 6 a.m. and while you're sipping your coffee, you open your calendar and you get a big smile on your face because you see all the bookings from your ideal clients who want to work with you and only you, the way that you do things, the expert way that you do things. Would you like that? Please put in the chat for me if you would like to see on your calendar people who have booked to be able to want to work with you. They're scheduling time on your calendar. You're not chasing after them. You're not running after them. You're not trying to just turn their arm and say, work with me, buy my stuff. No, we don't want that. Nobody likes that. So this is a way for inbound clients, your ideal clients, to find you, make appointments on your calendar, and be able to investigate a deeper dive with you to be able to work with you. So these bookings, again, are inbound, and they know your fees and they can afford you. And the timing is good for them because you likely have had people who have said, I want to work with you, but it's just not the right time. Or my budget is not in line with your fees right now. This is a way to be able to have your ideal clients approaching you as opposed to you chasing after them. And they know how you work. That's part of your billboard, is to share how you work. So where's the proof? One of the things that I love about being a consultant, about being an entrepreneur in general, is that I can run my business from anywhere, anywhere. Now, pre-COVID, of course, I love to travel. And my birthday is actually coming up. My birthday is in February, and this is usually around the time when it's Chinese New Year. I love to go to Las Vegas for my birthday with my family. And one of the things that I do is I teach various courses and programs, and they usually span several weeks at a time. Not all of them, but this particular time, I had one of my project management classes going. I'm a certified project manager, or PMP, and I train others to become certified project managers and pass the PMP exam. So I had a class that was running at the time. And of course, I'm going to be professional with my clients. I'm not going to say, well, it's my birthday and I'm going away. See you later. No, we're not going to do that. So I made sure to book my trip to Las Vegas. Of course, there's a 3-hour time difference from the East Coast where I'm traveling from. And I usually would have my class from 6 to 8 o'clock on the East Coast, 6 o'clock to 8 p.m. Uh, on a Tuesday and Thursday evening. So I wanted to get into Las Vegas on the Thursday, make the most of the weekend. And so I got a flight that got me in at 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, West Coast time. So that gave me an hour before my class, which would be 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Got my bags, headed to the airport. Headed from the airport to my hotel, opened up my laptop, popped up my screen, had my class with my students for 2 hours. That time, it was 8 o'clock for them, 5 o'clock for me. Guess what I did? Went out to dinner for my birthday. It was fantastic. I didn't miss a beat. So I love to be able to make work play and make play work, in that anytime I go on a work trip, I make fun out of it and make a little bit of a vacation out of it. But whenever I go for fun, I make work there as well. And some of the benefits, wink, wink, that you can do when you make work fun, in that when I go on a fun trip, what do? I make sure to look up my LinkedIn connections in that city and meet with them. And that makes it a business trip, because I'm conducting business meeting with my LinkedIn connections. More tips and strategies like that coming up. But again, these are just some of the clients that I've worked with around the country, around the world. On the steps there on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side is one of my graduating classes of my project management class. But I have all different types of clients in all different industries and business types, because project management, as well as business management as a whole, spans all businesses, all industries. And I really love just working with all different types of people. I learned so much from them, not just that they learned from me, I learned so much from them as well. But what does that have to do with LinkedIn? Of course, each and every one of them, before they ever became a client of mine, what did they do? They looked me up on LinkedIn. They saw my credentials, they saw the various things, and whatever appealed to them is what made them decide to work with me. And of course, now they're also using that as a comparison to anyone else that they might be considering to work with. How does one compare to the other? Now, if I have certain things, now that becomes the standard that everyone else is being compared to. And if they don't have those things, then usually they go with me. But let's talk about strategy. How many of you are numbers people out there? If you would put in the chat how much Shane's raising his hand, he's a numbers guy. So what would make you say wow? What kind of numbers would make you say wow? Let's look at percentages. Would a 10% increase make you say wow, Shane? No. How about a 30% increase? Would that make you say wow? He's like, maybe. Okay. Well, let me show you some numbers and you tell me if this makes you say wow. This is so timely. Now, today, right now, in case you're watching this on a recording, today is February 2nd, 2021. This is an email I got last evening, just 24 hours ago, February 1st, 7:23 p.m. Eastern Time. This is one of my linked leadership clients that I started working with in late November of 2020. So just a few months ago. This is his email to me. Miss Grant, here's my LinkedIn connections report. I started with you just before 11/20/20, and I had done another LinkedIn webinar, as you recall, the preceding September or October. It's obvious that coaching makes a difference, especially for beginners. So what does this all mean? He did a spreadsheet, which was one of the assignments I gave him to do, where he looked at all of his LinkedIn connections. He started on LinkedIn in December of 2010, actually the tail end of the year, December 31st, 2010. And he did a spreadsheet that went all the way up to January 15th, 2021. So approximately 11 years. And from 2010 to 2017, a total of 82 months, he gained 931 new connections, an average of 11 connections per month. From May of 2020 to November of 2020, he gained 49 new connections in a span of almost 6 months, about 8 connections per month. In October of 2020 through November of 2020, which is when he took some other LinkedIn webinar, just a webinar, not an actual engaging course with the instructor, just watching a webinar, he gained 192 connections in 1.63 months, a little over a month and a half, 192 connections, which is approximately 118 connections per month. But when he started working with me, November 20th of 2020 to January 15th of 2021, just shy of 2 months, he gained 577 new connections, which is an average of 309 connections per month. Now, Shane, does this make you say, wow? He's giving me the double thumbs up. So let me just clarify here. It is not the goal just to have a big number next to your name on LinkedIn, because if you have this big number next to your name and you don't know them and they don't know you, you can't do anything for them and they can't do anything for you. They don't know you. You don't know them. There's no relationship. I showed my client how to build relationships. So he actually has had touch points with these 577 people. He can't keep up with the people who want to engage with him and talk with him and find out more about his business and do business with him. And I'll show you the same with my LinkedIn profile as well. But I just wanted to show you this to show you the difference that direct coaching can have, but not only that, to get you in front of your ideal clients, not just numbers, but the ideal people who you want to be in front of, who you want to engage with, who are the ones who are having the highest probability of actually hiring you for whatever product or service you may do. So it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And it's the quality of the numbers that you have. I can honestly say that I know 90% of my LinkedIn connections because I make the effort to, even before COVID, have a face-to-face meeting, a phone call, a Zoom meeting, whatever touch point, so that they knew a little bit about me and I knew a little bit about them, so that when I had something of value, something pertinent, something of interest to them, I can make another touch point and grow the relationship. You wouldn't ask someone on a first date, hey, would you marry me? you want to get to know them first, right? So think about being on the receiving end. If you just met someone or you just connected with someone and they said, well, I've got this great thing, buy it, buy it, buy it. You'd be taken aback because what would you say to yourself? I don't know this person. I don't know them. So you would probably offend that person or push them away rather than drawing them closer. So one of the things that I showed my client here how to do is how to be engaging, how to know what to say as well as when to say it, and to be able to make those relationships that really last. So I want to ask again in the chat, how many of you are in the before category and how many of you would like to be in the after category? If you put in the chat for me before and after, we'll take a poll and see what goes on. So if you are feeling kind of dependent either on your job that you can't really make the moves that you want to make, or your business isn't really doing what it needs to do and you're dependent on others to help you, if you are feeling a lot of uncertainty, which many of us are during this pandemic time, if you're feeling some uncertainty about your income, about stability, about your future, if you're feeling some sense of lack or conflict, or there's this income ceiling that you just can't get through, how would you feel if you had the freedom and the consistency of the income that you not only want, need, but desire, and you had choice as far as what to do and how to do it, as opposed to maybe being locked into one way of doing something or maybe being told everything to do? How about a sense of peace? Going to bed and just knowing everything is going to be all right. Now, in general, depending on your perspective, everything is going to be all right. But sometimes there's those things that keep you up at night, things that you worry about, things that you try to figure out, and you just don't know how to do it. How many of you really just want and need more money? How many of you actually deserve more money? How many of you are actually making less than you know you deserve? How are you going to change that? Or do you want to continue to stay on the left hand side? So put in the chat for me how many of you are on the before side and how many would like to be in the after side. How would you like to be on that after side without any cold calling? Who likes cold calling? Not me. Actually, I don't mind it, really. I don't mind it, but it's not necessarily my primary way of trying to engage people, but I will do it because I do like to engage people and, kind of get to know different types of people. But I know many people don't like the cold calling. How about going to in-person events? I like those too, but I have to tell you, I've actually kind of enjoyed this COVID period because I can do everything from my home and I don't have to travel. I don't have to do hotel fees and food and transportation and all those other expenses. Now, again, it's great to have choice. You can do those things when you want to, not because you have to. What about advertising fees? How many of you have done various types of ads? Did they work for you? I mean, it does work, but you have to really have a knack for that or hire someone who knows how to do that very well, or else you'll spend a lot of money trying to figure it out. What about social media marketing in general? That can take a while to kind of figure out as well. Trade shows. Again, I like trade shows, but if I can do a virtual trade show and meet everyone, I probably would cover more ground and meeting everyone in a virtual trade show than having to travel to a particular city. What about direct mail? They say direct mail is dead. I don't think so, but how many of you don't want to have to do that? What about any other activity that would conflict with your job or your business, especially if you're working your job still and you're starting to, build your business? There's usually a point where there's a conflict. How do I not only get the business while working full time, but how do I do the business I get while working full time? That's one of the strategies I cover as well. But you don't have to do all these things. You don't have to do all these things because the simplest part about utilizing my linked leadership program is that you just have to show up. You just have to show up. Show up in your prime, show up in your best, meaning You're bringing your best game, your A game. You're showing up and sharing online with groups about how you work and what you do and how you do it. It's like having a big group phone call or a group in person networking meeting. You're just sharing what you do. And you have follow up meetings with people who want to know more about what you do. That's your consultation. It's really great when people actually are interested in what you have to say because they have self selected themselves to want to be in your presence versus going through a networking meeting, a room full of people passing out your cards. That I see some heads shaking. Nobody likes that either because everyone's polite and kind. And where do those business cards usually go? File 13, right? So you can do all of this by just showing up all without leaving your home. So I'm going to share with you now the three foundational principles of my linked leadership program. Number one is watering the seed. Number two is behind door number one. And number three is the Mount Everest factor. So let me share with you what watering the seed is. Everything that you need to be successful in your career or in your business is already inside of you in seed formation. Your job is just to water it and let it grow. Now, how do you water it? By coming to meetings like this, by being a part of great groups like what Shane has put together, by feeding yourself knowledge, education, inspiration, being around the right people to inspire you, help you to grow and flourish. But everything that you need is already in you, the skills, the talents, the abilities. If you've discovered that you have a knack for something, it's because you had a natural tendency towards that. And then you were exposed to something that made your eyes light up and say, I want to pursue that. If you think in your life, anything that you really enjoy doing, or anything that you maybe have a lot of people saying to you, you know, you should really do so and so and so, it's because they see your talent. And sometimes you don't see your own talent because it comes so naturally to you. You could probably say, well, why would somebody pay me to do X? It just is so easy. Isn't it easy for everyone? No, it's not easy for everyone. That's why it's easy for you because that's your natural talent. But those who don't have that talent but need the fruit of that talent will pay you for your service. So see yourself again as that expert by watering the seeds that are naturally within you. Next, we have having a little issue here. What's going on? Okay, behind door number one. If you remember, Price is Right. You know, what's behind door number one? You are behind door number one. You are the best kept secret, likely, that you have such great things to offer the world, but maybe you just don't know how to package yourself. Maybe you don't know how to find your unique client that wants and needs just what you have to offer. You might think, well, there are many other people doing what I'd like to do. Why would they choose me? There are people who are going to be drawn to you for you and how you do things. And then there are people who are going to be drawn to someone else for the way that they do things. Your job, again, watering those seeds, is to be able to find the people or be in front of the people or to be found by the people who want just what you have to offer the way that you have to offer it. Because your unique journey to where you are right now has to do with why they will choose you. Something you will say or do will identify with them to make them say they want to work with you. I'll tell you just a very brief story. Some of the things that I've gone through in my career when I still worked corporate, I wondered, why am I going through this? I didn't do anything to deserve this. Why am I going through this? Yes, I've been laid off. Yes, I've had bosses that didn't quite care for me. Yeah, imagine that. But it's a matter that I came to see that everything I went through, positive and negative, was for such a time as this. Because when I now work with a client and I talk to them and find out why they need my service, I can really look them in the eye and say, I understand, because usually they will say something about their reason why they're there. that I've gone through as well. And when I can look at them and say, I understand, that's just not lip service. Oh, I understand. No, I understand. And I will share my story that is similar to theirs to be a touch point of commonality. And they will see that I'm coming from a genuine place where I know what they are feeling or I know what they've gone through. And usually that is one of the turning points, in addition to other things, that makes them choose me because they know that I'm coming from a place of transparency, and you can't buy that. You can't make that up. And when they see you eye to eye, even on a Zoom call, when they see you eye to eye and they can feel your spirit and feel your genuineness, even through the terrible things that may have happened to you, it can be the point of commonality with someone else. So I just want you to see some of the things that you may have wondered, well, why did this happen to me? It's for such a time as this. It's for such a time as this. So let's talk about the Mount Everest factor. If you were going to climb to the top of Mount Everest, would you just pick up your backpack and go? Or would you choose a guide? A guide who has been there before, been there, done that multiple times. They know every little foothold, every crack and crevice of that mountain. They know where to tell you to walk. Don't go over there, stay over here. They know every nook and cranny of that mountain because they've been there multiple times and they've taken many people to the top. So most people would choose the guide, and I can be your guide for you to help you to utilize the free version of LinkedIn, not the paid version, not the sales navigator, but the free version of LinkedIn, and make the most of it. Many of you are probably familiar with Microsoft Excel. Excel is a spreadsheet, piece of software, and most people use it as a glorified adding machine. However, it's so powerful and it can do so much more than what most people utilize it for. And it's the same thing with LinkedIn. The last position I held as an employee was 2005, and I've been an entrepreneur in my business ever since. And I utilize LinkedIn in so many different ways that many people have never utilized before. And so I teach that in my different programs. I give them different tips and strategies of how to use LinkedIn, and I've brought all of them together in this one package to show people how to really make the most of getting where they want to go in LinkedIn.